Now, the United States has announced a fresh round of travel restrictions targeting Nigerian travelers. The new measures include a requirement for some visa applicants to post a bond of up to $15,000 before entering the country. U.S. officials say the policy is part of a broader tightening of entry rules and is aimed at ensuring visitors comply with visa conditions, including returning home when their stay expires. The move is expected to increase the cost and difficulty of travel for Nigerians visiting the United States for tourism, business, or even family purposes, and signals heightened scrutiny of travelers from Africa's most populous nation. Now, Professor Iyalla Peterside is a policy analyst, and he joins me now for the conversation on diplomatic issues. Professor Peterside, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. So the U.S. imposes visa bonds. We've seen that the U.S., visa bond requirements may range up to $15,000 and must be paid before Nigerians can even get the visa, and that doesn't even assure them getting the visa. So for many Nigerians, that's more than what it costs them or what they earn in a year. So what does this policy mean for everyday Nigerians who want to travel, whether it's for business, tourism, or visiting family? And how might it reshape patterns of legitimate mobility between the two countries?
Thank you very much. I think that to start with, this is a wide-ranging policy by the Trump administration that has been clearly anti-immigration from a long time. When this campaign, they told us they wanted to get rid of illegal immigrants, they wanted to get rid of criminals, but it seems to me that they basically have a policy of restricting immigration from third world countries and countries with black nationals. For the Nigerian, I think to start with, let's be clear, the American government has a right to regulate who comes or goes from their country. That's their right, and nobody can argue about that. But what they are doing right now is almost punitive and very selective. And I and many others are wondering what the ultimate aim is, if this is not necessarily just about rearranging the tables so that we have a more white immigration rather than black immigration, which they have, I think, said as clearly as they have indicated.
Professor Peterside.
If you look at the percentage of recusants, it's only 5.6% of people who get visas from Nigeria that overstay their visas. So that number is pretty low considering other populations. And so if you look at the 38 countries that are part of this restriction, 24 of them are from Africa. You then wonder what the basis for that list is.
Well, Professor Peterside, the United States actually argue that Nigerians go foul mostly of the overstay rule. But let's talk about, I think you use the word here, selectivity, and I want to pose that against security. Security narratives often shape immigration policies, whether we like it or not. And this latest move appears in part to be driven by perceived risk. Yet Nigerians feel that it's singling them out. So how do you assess the role of security framing in this policy? What impact might such framing have on public perception of Nigerians, both at home and abroad?
I'm a scientist, so I go by data. And if you look at the numbers for themselves, one, the State Department publication itself, only 5.6% of Nigerians overstay. If you look at the numbers, only a small percentage of Nigerians who apply for visa actually get it because they're very, very strict in awarding visas to Nigerians going to the United States. So based on the data alone, it does not support their argument.
Okay.
Nigerians are a very successful group of people in America across the board. And Nigerians form a bedrock of the economy, technology, and education in America. So to single out Nigeria or make an argument that because there are one or two incidents of terrorist events in Nigeria, therefore, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
So what about Nigeria's perception abroad? How does this position Nigeria with the framing that has been given, where it's framed around risk?
I think that I'm not sure that if you go to France, for instance, that the Nigerian with a passport is considered a terrorist risk more than anybody else. They may be considered a risk for drugs because of reputation or maybe fraud, but terrorism and violence is not a necessary thing that Nigerians are associated with. I struggle with the argument that they are making for restricting Nigeria as much as they are. I live in the United States. We see the news. I visit Nigeria often, and clearly there are security problems. But that degree of problems and difficulty does not compare with the terrorists from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, or Qatar. And those countries are not, So
do you think Nigeria's internal security woes could be one of the reasons? Is it a proper claim by the United States?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well,
I do not at all, and the data doesn't support it.
Okay. So the policy is not simply administrative; it also has diplomatic overtones here, especially given recent tensions over visa processing and other travel restrictions. So, Professor, what should Nigeria's diplomatic response be now?
I think that's the key. The key is we need to re-examine our relationship with the United States, and I hope, and this is again one of the palpitations that I have. What response does the Nigerian government give to this? I think that we should respond appropriately and put their citizens to the same test that we are being placed on, and ask for a negotiation to discuss this. If they are not willing to respect us as a nation and a people, then we owe ourselves just self-dignity to respond with measures that say we are not happy with it. Otherwise, it won't stop now. It won't stop here. We're a sovereign country. We deserve respect. Nigerians contribute immensely to world economy and trade. Yes, we have a few problems, but I don't think that we should take this sitting down. We should, if they refuse to negotiate, impose similar restrictions to their citizens coming to America. We can survive without Americans.
Professor Iyalla Peterside, I want to say thank you very much for having this conversation with me tonight. Thank you.